Zuma has announced via his Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma Foundation's Twitter page that he'll address the nation this evening at 6 o'clock from the auditorium in Nkandla, not in Durban, as previously communicated. It's been a really difficult story to cover, plenty of complicated legal processes back and forth. Now, senior reporter Nkandla is gorging what Zuma supporters have been saying at Nkandla, and he joins us now live. Aviwe, of course, we saw that stage that was being put up. We're expecting that the former president will address some supporters at 6 o'clock this evening. So lockdown regulations once again expected to be flouted.
Just as yesterday when those lockdown regulations were flouted into the evening around 7 o'clock when some of the supporters eventually started trickling away from this area, which is right in front of the Nkandla homestead. We're expecting those hundreds of supporters to flock in once more. The stage is already set behind me, Maseko, where even yesterday there was singing, there was dancing, and just people all around the section that you see here coming from different parts of the province. We saw about 30 cars come through from the Mpumalanga delegation in support of the former President Jacob Zuma. We're expecting those influx of people to still come through even today. We heard a delegation is supposed to meet at Mvoti Toll Plaza at around 8 a.m. Where they'll then also make their way. Some of the delegations that we're expecting to come through from all parts of the country in support of the former president. But he himself will be making the speech right inside the Nkandla homestead in the auditorium. But we understand there should be some sort of stage that will be set for those that will be coming physically in attendance to watch what he says, because our cameras inside will also be set up as the former president makes that speech, expected to be around 6 p.m. this evening. But the message is one, that they're in full support of the former president. The people that we've been speaking to, even yesterday, speaking to a Mpumalanga delegation leader, saying that never mind the current pandemic that we're in, people are willing to lay their lives and die for the former president, not only in what may ensue, but even risking their lives and amid this COVID-19 pandemic. As we saw, no South African police services, hardly any, Maseko, just one van that was patrolling, but no one really enforcing those COVID-19 regulations amid the third waving that's ravaging the country at the moment.
Of course, we're hoping the police will actually reinforce the police there in Nkandla to make sure that somebody is making sure that regulations are followed. But also, Aviwe, this shows the political power that the former president obviously still has, at least in KZN and Mpumalanga.
Certainly in many other areas, we heard Andile Lungisa in the Eastern Cape, also there pledging his support for the former president. So he yields quite a lot of support, especially on the ground, where a lot of people still love the former president. And against what's currently happening, we spoke to a number of supporters that were on the ground, some of them even purporting to be part of Amabuto, saying that they'll support whatever decision the former president takes. If former President Jacob Zuma finally takes that stance and adheres to the Constitutional Court judgment and hands himself over to the police, they'll support that. But either way, if he then takes the other decision, which is not comply with that, they're willing to lay their lives for the former president. But we do understand hundreds of people will be coming through this area in support of the former president. And even having off-camera conversation with some of the South African Police Services members that we saw on the ground, around 2 of them that I saw throughout the whole day, Maseko. One of them was telling me that they fear what may happen if they were to be called themselves to eventually come and collect the former president. They wish that former President Jacob Zuma hand himself over, just fearing what may ensue on the ground here, Maseko.
And of course, we know that the suspended Secretary General of the ANC, Ace Makashule, was there. He did say that he doesn't really know what the president is going to say to his supporters today. But I think, Aviwe, we can assume that it'll be a different tune from what he had been saying before, when he would say that he's prepared to go to jail, because obviously now it seems he's really not.
Even judging by the video that we had exclusively when the former president was addressing Amabuto yesterday, suggesting that the judiciary has been unfair towards him for the last at least 2 decades, saying that they now don't even have a charge against the former president, but they're expecting him to go to prison. He's not going to willingly walk inside prison without even being charged, for example. So quite against what's been happening, quite against the judiciary, against the people at the helm of even the Zondo inquiry. In that video that we had exclusively at eNCA. So even a number of political voices that we've seen come in and out here. The Premier of the KZN, Sihle Zikalala, was one of those people. Even Ace Makashula, the suspended SG of the African National Congress, pledging his support, saying that they were even having political discussions yesterday where the country has come from and the direction that it's taking now and the concerns that they have, but not wanting to go into detail about what the president thinks of the current going on around what we've seen really in the last week, the Constitutional Court judgment, and just the support that's gathered in front of his house amid the COVID-19 pandemic.